Hi, I'm Elorne Duncan, and you're watching Re's Teas.
So hi guys, and welcome back to Re's Teas, where we have conversations that matter with people who care. Today I'm joined by my friend and event professional, Elorne Duncan. Please welcome Elorne to Re's Teas. Hey Elorne, thanks for coming.
Pleasure is all mine.
So Elorne, off air we had a conversation about your job title, where you describe yourself as an event professional. How is that different from an event manager, and can you differentiate those both terms for us?
Sure. So in the event industry, you have several different title holders. You have event managers, event coordinators, event planners. Now, each one of them, they actually interlink, but they are separate and apart, right? So a planner is someone who forecasts and would sit with a client and plan an event. Whereas an event coordinator would come in on the day of an event and actually manage the different aspects or elements that make the event special. As far as I'm concerned, I consider myself like an event generalist. And because of that, I consider myself an event professional, bringing all those other elements together as one. Yeah.
Okay. So who normally seeks the services of an event professional?
So an event professional is someone who would basically go in and bring together all the elements of what an event is, and literally turn that into something special. So you would have different clientele, such as basically business managers. You would have from a range of couples seeking to get married, which would be like wedding planners, which is another title within
branch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, basically. So you would have persons who are seeking to have a birthday party. So you have a wide range of clientele, royalty. Some event professionals have become so successful that royalty call them at 2 a.m. in the morning and we have a plane waiting for you and you need to come. No, that is how special and important our job is as event professionals.
With that being said, I would assume that the pandemic that's currently happening all over the world, there's certainly a lot less events happening in general. Lots of concerts have been cancelled, Carnival has been cancelled. How has your career, and by extension your industry, been impacted by the pandemic?
So the event industry has been literally flattened. And that is because of the fact that events are gatherings, and all gatherings are restricted right now, basically from 10 persons to none at all, right? So therefore there is our industry took a direct hit as the COVID-19 pandemic. My career in itself was one that, I was with Caesar's Army, and we would do events not only in Trinidad, but also internationally. And well, there goes our events. So, I had to pivot, and now I am a cultural program coordinator with the ministry. Now, with that being said, the event industry is not dead. It is still estimated to grow by $2.3 billion by the year 2026. So therefore, events are not dead. What has happened is that now people in the event industry are pivoting towards virtual type events and hybrid type of events with social distancing measures, and be health professional. We don't want to step on your toes, but we want to make sure that there is survival within our industry.
You mentioned that you have pivoted secondary to everything that's happening. I've said it in many interviews before. I feel like pivot has become one of those buzzwords associated with the current pandemic.
Yes.
In what way have you pivoted? Just to share for maybe someone else who is trying to figure out how they can pivot, maybe sharing your story might inspire someone. How did you pivot?
So for me, I've always been involved in the cultural realm. So I haven't directly come out of events per se, but I don't do as much events as I would do on a regular year. So what has happened is that now I would have applied to a ministry that I believe I could basically add value to and help the industry in that industry grow. With that being said, the cultural program coordinator is also responsible for exhibitions, is responsible for festival development, and which is also events. So, I have pivoted into a governmental aspect of things, but the event professional at heart is still there in terms of private sector. I think that for people, you have to understand your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that exist. So doing a situational analysis and understanding what is really happening and understanding those things will then help you to know, okay, this is where I can move in this direction. A lot of times we talk about agility.
Get you agility now!
Right, Joe! Use your body slam!
When it comes to businesses, but you as an individual, you yourself you have to be agile, because you never know what is going to happen. Life is unpredictable. So you always have to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to roll with the punches and literally just go with the flow, because life is unpredictable and you must be ready at all costs.
So Elorne, with that being said, what does the future look like for you?
The future for me, I'm a very positive person. So I believe that within the next 2 to 3 years, the event industry there is going to be a resurgence, because people are going through COVID fatigue. I am one that I'm very much experiencing that right now,
Okay.
And people are ready to go out. They're ready to congregate, because what events do, they basically take all of the human senses and put it into one space where people gather. So you are engaged by sight, sound, taste, touch, everything that is the human aspect and of life. And because of that, people need that. They need it. It's a need. It's not a want, it's a need. And I believe that there's going to be a resurgence of events and traveling for events, and the industry is going to continue to grow. As I said earlier, that it's projected to grow by $2.3 billion by 2026. And the event industry is an amazing field with so many different offshoots. So, I would have named event manager, event coordinator, there's virtual events producer, there's an event producer aspect to it. So there are different aspects of that. For me, I believe I want to go into more of event designing. And that in itself is actually taking a space and turning it into a magical wonderland, basically, because that's what event professionals are. We are magicians. And I love it. I really want to delve deeper and dive deeper in concept development and bringing that through. One of the things I said I wanted to do in life was to work with I forget. He fails my name, but right now David Tutura and Preston Bailey. These are people that I look up to, and I want to be as great as they are and even better. And if it's one thing you can see with Preston Bailey's work, is that he takes an empty space or a space that doesn't exist and turn it into something magnificent, something out of this world. And that is where I want to be within probably the next 2 to 3 years in my life.
A lot of us, by necessity, are not having a lot of gatherings at home, whether that be the tiny COVID weddings that we see now, or the game nights, the family gatherings within COVID-19 regulations, of course.
Yeah.
Being the event maverick that you are, I was wondering if you can share with my viewers some tips on how to pull off a successful event.
Sure, of course. So, being an event professional, it's rather simple. It's not rocket science, but simple tips that you can actually practice at home right now. One, as I said before, events are something that act on the human senses. So what you can make sure and do if you're having a cozy night at home and stuff like that, you can probably provide, there's a principle called hygge, which is comfort. It just basically means comfort. So what you can do is, like, let's say you're having a movie night, you can provide individual blankets and that sort of thing. You can have warm lighting, which is more like yellow lighting, to keep things dim and cool and cozy. You can have things, and right now in Trinidad, we're experiencing some very cold nights. So you may want some nice blankets. You may want to have hot chocolate, which acts on the taste and the smell. They actually work together. And then you choose a movie that everyone may like. If it's more girls, you may choose something closer to what women may want to see, or something that is current, or maybe an old film that would attract people. Even, we being from Trinidad, we're a very multicultural, very diverse people. And one of the things I remember as a child, you may want to do something nostalgic, an East Indian movie on a Sunday after Zorro.
Yes.
Right? Zorro, there was this East Indian movie that would come on, and you have no clue what they're saying, but you were so enthralled.
The drama.
Yes, the drama, and this and that literally went through, it basically broke down so many different barriers, because whether of African descent or East Indian or Chinese or whoever, but everybody tuned in. They wanted to see more. And I think that would give you a wonderful night at home. You provide snacks that you make sure that everybody eats what you're cooking, because your dietary requirements.
Not everybody is gluten-free and lactose intolerant,
but again, because we're a multicultural society, some people don't eat pork. Some people don't drink alcohol. Some people don't eat beef. So you have to cater for your guests.
Can I tell you the
ensure
story
that
of
they're
me
options.
being a horrible host once upon a time?
Oh boy, let's hear this.
Picture it. Sicily, 1920.
We were having...
Yes.
This is a newbie. I was having a meeting of sorts at my apartment.
I'm sure you're all wondering why I gathered you here today.
And so we had ordered pizza, right? And
Yeah.
It probably would have been a pepperoni pizza or something. Well, I think it's pepperoni because I'm big on the pork. One committee member was vegetarian.
Ooh.
So the food.
Reon, that's a big boo-boo. Big boo-boo.
Sorry. Okay. So it's funny now. So the food came and she was like, guys, I don't eat meat. What am I supposed to do? And I was like, it had breadsticks. I know. So now that I'm older and wiser, and now that so it's great that you're here so that none of my viewers will make that horrible faux pas.
Yeah, you have to cater for the persons that you are inviting. You know, remember, you are inviting people into your homes, and if you are eventually looking at this as a career, you are inviting people you are representing your client, and the event represents them. So whatever you are doing, when you invite people into a space that you've created, you want them to feel a sense of welcome and a sense of comfort. And therefore, you need to cater to their needs, you know, even if it's a family function. So, you know, you have your family members who don't eat gluten. Well, you have some gluten options. If they don't eat pork, you make sure you have something that they can eat other than pork. You know what I mean?
Not nobody is excluded, because I think an important thing you just kind of said, which occurs to me now, is that if you're inviting somebody into your home and you are prepared to spread, I think, and forgive me, Lord, for I've sinned, to not have something there for that they can eat is to kind of make that person feel unwelcome.
Yeah, and I can even tell you this, in all of my trainings and meeting people and doing events over the years, one of the biggest aspects of events anywhere in the world, anywhere, I mean from New Zealand to Alaska, food is a big problem. If your food is bad, your event is going to be bad, because people are going to, no matter how good the speakers were, no matter how good the wedding was, no matter how beautiful the bride was, no matter how great the experiential parts of the event were, you know, if the food was bad, that is to be remembered.
You are absolutely right.
So
that
it
is true.
Yeah, and it's very important. And whether you give them plenty or you give them a little bit, that is always going to be in their mind.
And
The
especially
speaker was
when,
good, you know.
because half of the guests there for the food anyway. So if the food bad, now some they'll talk about you. So that was the first tip. What's the second tip to throwing a successful event?
All right, so the second tip to throwing a successful event is literally using the 5 W's. And what the 5 W's are is just breaking the event down into the who, what, why, when, and where. What that does is that it basically gives you an overview and understanding about who you are inviting to your event, which leads to the first tip, which is providing, working together in terms of understanding your event and making sure that the elements are put together well so that your guests are welcomed and, you know, they feel invited.
Okay, what's the third tip?
So the third tip I have for your guests today is basically what I want them to do is your viewers to do today is to do a little research. There's something called the A8 model. What that A8 model represents, it breaks down into appetite, attire, and that sort of thing. So basically it gives you arrival, you know, atmosphere. So your atmosphere is basically your decor, how the mood that you create with the music, with your actual decor, with the textiles, the different colors that you use, and so on. Because remember, there's a whole psychology with colors and smells and, you know, different things like that. You know, what do you want your guests to take away from your event? And this goes for like little events at home too. And remember, I spoke before of the hygge concept. And what that does is that it just makes things comfortable, giving people comfort, you know, and that is very important. So research the A8 model and you'll have a great event.
Understood. That was number 3?
Yes.
Was number 4?
Yes.
I need to research that model, by the way. Never heard of it.
4.
But like I used to have lots of game nights in UB, and I just used to have a night and invite people over, which we now know. We now know how that works out. So I'm definitely gonna look into that model.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
What's number 4?
So number 4, just relax. It's not rocket science. It's very easy. Just take a deep breath and just follow the steps I told you, and everything will be fine.
And what's Elorne's number 5 tip for throwing a successful event?
Number 5 tip to throwing a successful event: ensure that the mix of guests that you are inviting are compatible with each other and compatible with you. You don't want having any use. Ensure that your invitee list, the energy that you're inviting into your space, is the energy that you want to keep. So be mindful and guard yourself against, because these are smaller events, they're intimate. So you want to ensure that the people that you invite are people that you mesh with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Elorne, you just spoke to my soul. So, like, once upon a time, story time. Once upon a time, in same UV days, same UV. So first of all, even to this day, now granted, I'm cool with everybody on the earth now, but I'm still a big believer in calling up before the event and finding out who is going to be there, right? Because
I hear you.
Who is going to be there, right? Because me and everybody cool, but me and everybody is not friends.
Friends, yes.
And so when I was in UV, there was a particular individual who I had mutual friends with, but who I wasn't particularly fond of. And what I used to always say, whenever I called and found out that they were invited, I would always say, why would I pay to be around somebody I avoid for free?
Boom, and there it is. There we go.
That's very deep. I have to take a sip for that.
Yeah. No, interestingly, past 40 years now, me and a person are cool now. But even I think even an important part of just thinking about that synergy, which is something I will admit I used to think of when I had events myself, is that if you're inviting friends from different pockets of your life who may not necessarily know each other from before, it's kind of important that you invite people who you foresee will gel. Because very often when you have an event, for some people, you, the host, may be the only person they know there. And if you're like me, as much as people think I'm this outgoing, bubbly, friendly, whatever, if I'm in a place and I don't know anybody, I'm in a corner on my phone already.
On your own, yeah.
Right? So I think it's important to invite a myriad of friends who you believe will gel together, so that secondary to that gelling, nobody will feel left out or be bored. And it's less pressure on you, the host. Because I could say on the flip side, when I'm that friend who doesn't know anybody else, the options are either I'm in a corner by myself or I am the host, Bamsi Fly.
Nobody wants to be that.
Right? So, I will say that.
No. And you know, one of the things that I want to encourage the viewers to do is to go and research event management, because it's a wide field. You may not want to be an event planner, but you may want to be a designer. You may want to go into weddings. You may want to go into lighting, because again, with the event industry, it's not just event professionals. You have persons, auxiliary services that are provided to event planners. So now that we don't have a lot of events happening, you have a lot of the auxiliary services finding themselves in positions where they have to lay off staff, or they have to, they have to pivot. So and what I'm talking about when I say auxiliary, I'm talking about like lighting, so taxi drivers, you're talking about decorators, persons that are actually employed by the event industry. And one of the things, as you were rightfully saying there, is that your event must be targeted to the right audience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So basically,
a simple thing as like a game night, and I've been to those where
they can get intense.
No offense. So one, if you invite those very, very strong characters who are very, very aggressive and type A, it can get intense. But on the flip side, there are people who you come at game nights. You invited that game night, and now whole night you're in a corner. I don't want to play that. I don't want to play. Only go ahead and I'm like, why are you here? For the food?
Probably. You know, people have been cooking over during COVID-19 pandemic.
Improving on the culinary skills. You come to taste my hand. Okay, how to be?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think
and maybe
that's important.
Maybe what you may want to do there is have something else for them to do, attract them, or keep their attention while you have your games night going on. So you may want to cater to okay, so you may have like your best friend, let's say it's your best friend. You've invited your best friend, but you know your best friend is like a killjoy when it comes to game nights. But you know he likes reading, or he or she, they like reading, they like something else. Maybe you would want to provide a corner, a space, or a talking environment. They like conversation or something like that, and you may have some other friends who may like that. So you may create a space where you'll be like, okay, so this is the gaming area, and this is an area where you can go and have conversation. You can probably go and listen to music. You may have one or two books that you don't have to read. So you cater to people if you don't want them to feel left out, that they find out, oh my God, you had a games night, you didn't invite me. You create a space or an environment where everybody has something to do.
I don't know if this might be something you could help with.
Just saying.
Let's just say you had an event. Let's just say I had an event and I didn't invite somebody and they were hurt or offended. What would you advise that I say to them? Like, how could I
Okay, so let's put it in perspective like this, right? So in weddings, right, you can't invite everybody. You have to, you want to invite the world, and a lot of brides, especially brides, grooms, sometimes they take the backseat. Very few of them actually take
active participation. But you can't invite everybody. So what you may want to do now that you have COVID-19, I know your guest list has been cut, and that reception paying for all that food, and nobody's bad talking your food. But what has happened now is that you can do hybrid events. So persons who you may not be able to invite them, you may be able to invite them to the actual physical wedding when things get back, but you want them to still be a part and don't feel left out. You can invite them to the ceremony via a virtual wedding. So you can have, while your wedding is going on, you have the live aspect, and then you have the virtual part of it where people can tune in. So everybody can feel a part of it. Now, before that, a lot of people may think that's a bit impersonal, but this is the future. The future is now, and this is the world that we live in, right? And COVID-19 has expedited this whole change towards virtual and the concept and how we think about virtual. So one of the things before that, what people would do is that they would do something called an announcement. So they would send out an announcement letting people know that they were married after the wedding, letting people know that they were married, and letting them know that, of them, and sending them maybe a little token, something that they could, from the couple, showing their appreciation for their support, even though they weren't invited to the wedding. So you can do things like that. I've never heard of it
so before. Something, okay, I didn't invite you, but you send something to them that might help them understand that it's you couldn't invite everybody, and you wanted to ensure that they were still a part of your event. Okay?
I like that. Okay, I like that. It's good. I like that, Elorne.
Yeah.
Announcement.
I know my shirt.